Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
This is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host on Global TV Talk Show unit of globalbusinessnews.net, which has been around since '03. Google Analytics, if we can believe all that, says we've had 1.2 million reader page views since '03, but more recently, Global TV Talk Shows began in March, April of 2020, since our conference business crashed and burned because of COVID. So we've been working on getting better every day, every show on Global TV Talk Shows. And today is a very special occasion because our featured guest is Mr. Mark Anderson, who's the developer and the owner and CEO of a company called AdventureVacationsInc.com. And it's in San Diego, and they help people travel around the world. So this program is part of a new series on Global TV Talk Shows, and it's called Global Travel. Global Travel Talk Shows. Here we are. Mark Anderson, hello.
Hello, Ed. Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, Benny. Hey, grazie mille for doing this show.
My pleasure.
So, Mark, you're in the San Diego area today, and I am too, and producer Paul is in Las Vegas. And we have viewers who will be looking at this show for guidance about Italy, and more specifically Tuscany, as a vacation destination. Leisure travel is what this is all about. Of course, you can go there on business, but this was really about leisure travel, right, Mark?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's great. So how long have you been in the travel biz?
I've been in it in one form or another for about 40 years.
Oh, you don't look that old, my gosh.
I know. I started when I was very young.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to show a couple of pictures here. Actually, we've got several. And I'd like you to comment. It's all about, well, a travel log. You know, if you think of Rick Steves doing this thing, or whatever that gal's name is, I can't remember right now. So this is going to be the Mark program, and we're going to have a tour of Tuscany. So, Paul, if you could find those two maps of Tuscany. Okay, so we're looking right now at the Tuscan hill towns, and so this is a map of Tuscany. You can see where it is in Italy, okay, and then we zero in on this. Paul, is it possible to enlarge this about 10%? Okay, that's good enough. So here we have, as you can see in the boldface, Florence is sort of at 1 p.m. and Pisa is at around 2:33 p.m. and right below that, Livorno. And you get the lay of the land. So the Mediterranean Sea is on my left, which is near Livorno. So Mark Anderson, Livorno has other names. Isn't this Cinque Terre?
Livorno is the southern edge of the Cinque Terre. The Cinque Terre is actually in a different province called Liguria. So that's where you have the 5 towns that all originate north of Livorno. So Livorno is a good place to catch the ferry, or you can also catch the train that goes north and stops at all the little towns like Cornelia and Montepiato and several other towns along the way. You can go by boat, by train, or even by car.
All right. So let's talk about your view. And I know you personally, so I know that you really love Tuscany. And you're like a hound about Tuscany. So let's dig in. And why is Tuscany such a hot place to visit?
Well, it really has been a hot place to visit for centuries. It's one of the places that was on the list of the Grand Tour way back in the 1820s during Victorian times, when people like Byron and Shelley and Keats and D.H. Lawrence and all the great writers would end up leaving England to essentially live over there. And it's been a place that's been popular for a long time, of course. And in recent times, with the advent or the publication of Under the Tuscan Sun, it's experiencing a resurgence of people who want to move there and start a new life. And it's really been kind of idealized as the perfect place to be.
Good. Well, thank you for that. And we're going to talk about Machiavelli and Michelangelo, Da Vinci and Dante. But let's talk about Florence. This was the birthplace of the Renaissance, right?
It really is. There was just a flowering, intellectually, artistically, architecturally, that came about in about 1500s, when a couple of influences, one being the Catholic Church, began to release their hold and sponsor some of these artists, and particularly the Medici family, which some would argue is the most famous, influential family in history, started sponsoring artists like Da Vinci and Michelangelo. And there was a rebirth of the sentiment that it isn't all for the glory of God, it can be for the glory of man, that human beings are basically okay, and let's celebrate life on earth a little bit.
All right. Let's talk more. Let's talk about the difference between Florence and Siena. You see Siena right in the middle.
Florence and Siena are historic rivals, and for many, many centuries, their armies would clash for control of the different territories. Florence was almost a city-state, which encompassed all the lands around it, and Siena was equally a city-state that encompassed all the hill towns around it. So they frequently would have, battles like Monteriggioni and places. So eventually they settle their differences, and they're both quite famous. But of course, Florence is the capital, and Florence is the capital of Tuscany. Although Siena would be a close second.
Okay, well, we're going to get into all this as we move along this show. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for repeat and go a little bit deeper. So, with COVID, we really couldn't go anywhere. So when was the last time you were in Tuscany?
I would say about 3 years ago.
And where did you go?
I landed in Florence, picked up a rental car, and headed south to Montalcino, and spent probably a week and a half just touring around the little mountain towns down there, going to Siena, of course. And I have friends in both Siena and Montalcino, and it was just a great place to bop around.
And where's Montalcino? I don't see that on the map.
Montalcino is south. It's near Pienza, It's
Oh, I see that. Okay, good.
right there in the
So,
middle, and it's
yeah.
world famous for the Brunello wines.
Okay, so now this is on that side of Tuscany. Um, that's near Umbria, isn't it?
Well, Umbria would be on the east side.
Yeah.
So on the east side of east of Tuscany, and to the west, of course, is the Adriatic Sea, which is part of the Mediterranean, as you mentioned. But
Yeah. Okay.
topography is very much like Southern California, with rolling hills and such.
Yeah, but no desert. Right. So
Correct.
we're going to look at some picture postcards and a beautiful, beautiful area. So what's your favorite wine?
My favorite wine is a toss-up between either the Brunello of Montalcino or the Vino Nobile of Montepulciano. So each one of those regions has their special wine that they grow. And the most basic varietal is Sangiovese, and what they do with the Sangiovese basically makes up the differences as in the quality and character of the wine.
So it's a blend.
It's a blend, but some like Brunello are 100% Sangiovese. Some wines like the Super Tuscan have a little bit of Cabernet and Merlot blended into them. But
Yeah.
it's a matter of how long they age it as well.
So, well, to me, you're a super Tuscan. So Paul, could you go back to that first slide that shows Adventure Vacations banner? There we go. So we're trying to enlarge that, and that's from your website, which is Adventure Vacations Inc. That's Adventure Vacations, no space, and then add INC, adventurevacationsinc.com. And there you go. So that's a combination picture of looks like Fiji or Mexico Beach or something. Where is that picture? What pictures?
Well, we have a number of pictures because we service the entire world. So in addition to Italy, we also have South Seas, Tahiti, Hawaii, Mexico, Caribbean. So there's a bit of a pastiche of everything in that particular banner.
All right, good. I like that word pastiche. So let's go back forward. Paul, and let's look at some pictures. Here we are back again. This is the first one, this yellow one. This again has all the towns, almost all of the towns, and we're going to get into a description with on some of them. Of course, we can't do it all because we have limited time here. But we certainly welcome Mark Anderson to come back on a subsequent show. All right, let's go to the next one, which is the provinces of Tuscany. So as you can see in the middle, purple, it's Florence, Firenze, and underneath that is Siena, and then Grosseto, and Pisa. That's where the Leaning Tower is, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and that's got a seaport. What's it? So it's sort of like freight. It's a port, mercantile port, right?
Originally, Pisa was a seaport and it was a major trading power for centuries. And then the river that fed into the port silted over and essentially landlocked the town. And that was the downfall of Pisa. And part of the reason why the tower leans is because it's built on a bog and not on solid rock. So Pisa is a town of bygone glory, and mostly due to climate change, the river silted up and blocked the harbor, essentially.
Isn't that amazing? So climate change is really old. It's not on us for the first time. Okay, let's not get into politics. Let's get into wine. Okay, Paul, if we can go forward, we're going to have a talk show. So here we have a wonderful margarita pizza, but that kind of pizza, Mark, isn't called margarita in Italy, is it? What is it called?
It's mostly called pizza. That's the standard pizza that everybody eats. If you walk in and ask for pizza, that's what you're going to get. It's going to the marinara sauce with some pepperoni on it and some cheese, and it's basically just a few ingredients.
I'll take it. I love that. And that's olive oil, I guess, or is that
Correct.
wine? Yeah, olive oil. Okay. So
They're-
what, Paul, if we could enlarge that just around the pizza itself, we can look at the ingredients up close. So we have, what kind? Mozzarella cheese?
Yeah, that looks like the buffalo cheese that they make out of buffalo milk.
Yeah. And tomatoes, and it looks like olives. And what else is there? Oh, red sauce on the bottom. Yeah. God, that is a beautiful scene, and it makes me want to go to Little Italy. Actually, it makes me want to go to Tuscany.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a timely announcement.
Hi, I'm Sergei Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
All right, so now here we are in San Gimignano. Mark, tell us about San Gimignano, and what are those towers about?
Well, San Gimignano is a great hill town. Of course, all the hill towns were built, thousands of years ago because they were the best place of defense, or the last place of defense. And essentially, when times got tough, everybody in the surrounding countryside would retreat within the city walls on the top of the mountains. So, and the towers are essentially where the rich family would build their homes because a court of last resort, if the attacking armies breached the city walls, they could just pull up the drawbridge in their little towers and just sit there until people gave up and went away. So essentially, the towers are the ultimate self-defense. If the city falls, you still got your tower.
All right,
and
that's yes. Oh, we have a sound feedback. Last time I was in San Gimignano was about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was really just crowded with tourists. But there's a time when there's not so many tourists, right? What time of year would that be?
But my favorite time to go would be the spring and the fall. In the fall, which is coming up this year especially, they are just coming out, of course, the long COVID season, and they're very much welcoming people back, and they're going really the extra mile to make sure everybody is safe and comfortable.
Good.
And then the other side, of course, is springtime. I'd love to go in April and May and even early June. The only absolute worst time to go would be in August, because that's when the entire continent of Europe has the same time off and they all hit the road.
That's when I was there. Okay, next picture. So here we are back in Florence, and this is part of the Uffizi. Did I say that right? Uffizi or Uffizi?
Uffizi.
Uffizi.
Uffizi. The two Z's are kind of a TZ sound. That essentially means office in Italian. The Uffizi Gallery was the office for the Medici family. They also built the Ponte Vecchio Bridge, which allowed them to travel across the river to their offices, their palace and their office.
All right, so this has a lot of famous artworks.
One of the best collections of Renaissance art in the world.
And Renaissance art means what? Michelangelo?
Exactly. Renaissance art would be that art produced from around 1450 to about 1600, including Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, Botticelli, some really one-of-a-kind paintings that you'll never see anywhere else.
Okay, next slide. Oh, here we are. Now that's the Leaning Tower. You don't think it's going to fall down, do you?
No, they've been working on that for centuries now, and I think they've just recently secured it to the point where they feel like it's going to be good for another couple of 100 years.
So when I go to Pisa again, can I go up in that tower?
Yes, you can. You can go all the way to the top.
So do I have to sign a waiver that if it falls over, I'm not going to sue?
I don't believe so.
No, okay. And what's that big thing next to it? Is that a church?
That is a church and also the baptistry. So it's both the church and the place to go get baptized.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Ponte Vecchio Bridge in Florence.
Ponte Vecchio means the old bridge.
All right, so those are condos overlooking that bridge, right? In yellow?
I believe so.
Yeah, I bet they're pricey. Okay, so
actually, yeah, the top story was actually the original walkway, so the Medici family could cross the bridge without having to deal with the riffraff down below.
And so right now the bridge is famous for its jewelry stores, right?
Correct. Originally, when it was built, it was famous for butcher shops where they would throw all their waste in the river, and the smell got so bad the Medici put a stop to it and then started the jewelry business instead.
So the Medicis were really good in a number of things. First of all, they used their money right, and then they used their powers to have a pope in the family, and then they cleaned up the river. So they're really the first environmentalists, right?
They were arguably the most famous family in history because from them came popes, kings, queens. Catherine de' Medici married the King of France. Their influences everywhere. They invented modern banking and many, many other things. And they sponsored all of the artists.
Oh, that's great. Let's go to another slide. Well, okay, Mark.
Okay,
Tell
one
us.
of my favorite places.
Yeah, that looks like really good Tuscany wine.
It is. And the amazing thing about it, when I started looking at some statistics, there's something like 500,000 wineries in Italy. And it sounds like a lot until you realize everybody who's got any more than a few square yards in his backyard is planting grapes. Everything is grapes or olives, every square inch, and people will literally grow grapes in their backyard. And you can have a vineyard on a half acre, and it can still produce. And a lot of the vintners who don't necessarily make their own wine will sell to the cooperativo in town and get paid in wine that way. But it's a big business.
Good. Okay, next slide. So here is a picture that I acquired, and this is a young girl, and you just see that could be a favorite thing to do in the hills of Tuscany.
And one of the joys is you notice that bike, it's an electric bike, and it's actually an electric mountain bike. So it's not like you have to be in really good shape. You just pedal along and then you flip on a switch and the bike will pedal itself. So you can pretend you're pedaling your bike all up and downhill when actually it's the bike doing the work.
And those are vineyards right there on her right. Okay,
Yes,
let's go to the next slides. We need to go a little faster. Okay. So this is, I think, around Montepiato, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
This is one of the most famous drives. If you start over on the west end of Cortona, of Tuscany, like around Cortona, and just head west, you go through Pienza, Montepiato, and Montalcino, San Quirico. It's a beautiful, beautiful drive because not only are you going through the vineyards, but also olive groves and all the Italian cypress along the roads and all the quaint castles and tiny towns. It's a great drive.
Okay, next. So this is part of a portrayal of an Turismo, which is an estate that welcomes people to rent rooms and housing, right? And so here's one in the south near Cortona, I believe you told me. Mm-hmm. And this, they can feed the animals or look at the animals. Is that right?
Yeah, the thing that really distinguishes agriturismos from, say, hotels is they all have to be actual working farms to qualify. And that farm can involve animals. It can be a winery, wine producer, vineyard. It can be an olive farm. And a lot of them are all three. Typical agriturismos will have vineyards, olive trees, and as well as farm animals.
Okay, next. Here's a picture from inside Agra, Turismo, Poderi, Pistiano.
This is an excellent place. And the cool thing about this place, it's a real working farm, and they've got dairy cattle. They've got a butcher shop on the premises, totally self-sufficient. They've got their vineyards, their olives, the chickens, everything. You could literally live on what the farm produces. And they share that with the guests that come stay with them. And the guests are housed in separate quarters. It's not like you're going to be in the family's back bedroom, but you're close enough to where it's all part of the compound. It's kind of like a granny flat.
Okay, let's go to the next couple of slides and you'll see an example. Here's a bedroom. All
Beautiful.
Right. Yeah, but nicely done, as you could tell. And next. Kitchen. Modern.
So they're all self-contained units. They do have everything you need, just like a home.
Living room, spacious, isn't it?
Very.
Okay, next. So now here we are in the Cinque Terre. And this is not like moon over Miami, but it's moon over Cinque Terre. And that's the Mediterranean right there. So do you know which town that is?
I'm going to say Monterosso, but not 100% sure. The towns are very similar. They're all very small. They're all perched right on the side of a cliff. But they're 5 different towns, and they're all equally accessible by train. You can hike in between them. You can drive in between them, although driving is kind of discouraged. So it's, and by boat. So there's numerous ways to access them. You can do it in a day, or you can spend a couple of days, but they're very small and very quaint.
Very long time ago, I walked between all 5. And
wow.
It was, but that's a long time ago when I was younger. So here we are in Siena, and this is an annual festival in the town square, right?
This is the famous Palio. It happens every July and August. And the funny thing about it is the whole race is only a minute and a half. It's in the Piazza del Campo. What they do is they cover the entire piazza with dirt to, I imagine, protect the horses. All the spectators are in the center, and also the people who have money or, have box seats up in the balconies. But it's a crazy race, no holds barred. They celebrate for about 2 weeks before, and happens every July and August. But it's just a crazy, crazy race, and it's bareback.
This is nuts. Okay, let's go.
Fall off your horse, the horse can keep going.
Yeah. Now here we are. What's that called?
That is the clock tower
in Siena.
Yes, there's a wonderful historic museum in that building. That's on the Piazza del Campo.
Okay, next pictures. Oh, here we are back at the Agra Tourism, and that's the driveway. As you can see, the lodging is up and back there. Mm-hmm. Okay, next. Now this is a long view of what, Montepiato?
It looks like it.
Yeah, a little hard to see, but as you can see, it's a hill town.
They're all hill towns, just as I mentioned before. That was because that was the most defensible place.
So why is that? Why is there always wars going on? How come they always have to talk about defense?
Well, because prior to 1865, Italy did not exist as a country. It was only unified by Garibaldi in 1865. Prior to that, they were all small little duchies. But you're talking about a country which has 3,000-year history, all the way back to the Etruscans. So it was always somebody trying to dominate the tribe next door. And ultimately, of course, it was the Romans that had established a rule for 1,000 years. And then, after that, it was like the Catholic Church and various other enterprises.
Well, Mark, thank you for being our guest on Global Travel TV Talk Show. And this is terrific. I welcome you to come back. Let's talk about Paris on the next show.
Love to.
And it looks like you're all set. You have a Parisian chapeau.
Chapeau.
Yeah, that's terrific. Ready. All right. So we need to move on to our next broadcast. I thank you. Why don't you just say your email address nice and slow so people can make a note?
My personal email is adventure-mark@sbcglobal.net.
And the website again is?
adventurevacationsinc.com. It's adventurevacationsinc.com.
Great. Okay, this is Ed in San Diego, and that's Mark on the other side of San Diego. Thank you for being on Global TV, Mark. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Paul.
All right, thank you, and goodbye. See you soon on Global
Grazie
TV.
Mille.
Yeah,
Ciao.
Grazie mille.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.